Hello everyone, Crow here, and as you can see I've pulled out and hooked up my Neo Geo because a couple weeks ago I picked up this game, Eightman. Here's the cartridge. I had the urge to try out this game, and after playing it for a little while, had the urge to do a review. So, a little background, Eightman is it was an manga and anime in Japan in the 60s. This game came out around 91, and in 92 they made a live-action movie, and in 93 they made another animated series. And to be fully honest, I never even heard of the manga or the anime series until after I picked up this game and did a little research on it. So let's pop this big cartridge in the AES, turn it on, and check out some Eightman. Now, before I get into the actual story of the game, this game has one of the coolest intros ever. I'm going to take a pause and let you listen.
Runs as fast as lightning, the 8th super robot beats all evils. 8-Man!
I mean, it's something that's so short, so simple, and yet in the arcade it would be sure to grab your attention. So the game starts, and the city apparently gets blown to bits. So that's when they decide to send out Eightman, which is the character you control. Now, Eightman used to be a human who was on the verge of death. So they transferred his mind and soul into this cyborg. So that makes him a lot like RoboCop. But that's where the differences end. Whereas RoboCop was kind of slow, clunky, and used a gun, Eightman is all about speed and using his fists and kicks to mow his way through the enemies. The game itself is a beat-em-up, but it takes place on one plane, meaning that if you push up, you're not going to walk into the background, and if you push down, you're not going to walk into the foreground. And since this is a game that's kind of a speed beat-em-up, meaning that you run through the levels pretty quickly, it actually helps keep with the speed of the game because you don't have to worry about lining up with your enemies. Now, there are 3 basic level types in this game, and the first level, it was your standard move at your own pace, and what we're looking at here in the next stage is Eightman, where he's just automatically running really fast, and all the enemies are kind of, jumping around, and it's a really cool effect. And basically in this mode, it acts pretty much like the other modes, except that you can't turn around to punch anything behind you. And finally, there are a few levels that scroll automatically and force you to keep up. The graphics in this game are pretty top-notch for an early Neo Geo game. You gotta remember that this came out in 91, which is the same time that the Super Nintendo was brand new. So this is basically an arcade quality game, and if you had this in your homes in 1991, you were really lucky. The sound and the music in the game is great. I mean, I didn't really even notice it at first, but when I was playing this through stereo speakers, the music just jumped out at me, and it just seemed really good and catchy beats. As for the gameplay, I don't feel it holds up as good as the graphics and the music do. Eightman only really has a few basic moves. He's got the A button attack, which is his basic fast punches and kicks. And then he's got basically a down slide move and his jump move. And then he does have an attack, which you see right there, that basically shields Eightman while sending out attacks all over the screen that take out your enemies. Now, Eightman can power up his punch, but within like the first half of the first level, you'll already power up to max, and those power upgrades you gain later on in the game will just be used for points. There are also the B icons, which increase your bomb capabilities, and you can carry up to 5 bomb attack. And you could also collect L icons, which increase your life up to 5 hit points. Now, the thing is that once you lose a life, you also reset your bomb count to 3. I mean, even if you had 4 bombs, you get reset to 3. So it's really in your best interest to basically go all out with your bomb attacks. There's also a countdown timer on the screen, but I never ran into a situation where the time ran out on me because the game just moves automatically so fast. I mean, you literally have to be standing around and doing nothing to run into a problem where you ran out of time. Also, there is very little variety of the enemies you encounter within the game. In fact, some of the bosses are even just palette swaps of previous bosses. And another downside is that the game is very short. I was playing on the arcade version wherein you could just simulate inserting a coin to continue, and actually beat the game in less than 30 minutes. And if I had actually used real money to actually be inserting the coins, I would have probably gone through $2 or $3 at most. Now, this can be a two-player game, and if a second player wants to join you, they actually join you as Eightman, who I guess is his friend, Eightman's friend or something. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the anime manga, so I have no idea how any of this correlates to the anime or manga or how accurate these enemies are. Also, getting back to the gameplay, I almost forgot to mention that occasionally you'll run across these floating 8 orbs, and they give you what's called in the corner 8 power, which I guess makes you invincible for a short amount of time, and whenever you attack, you just basically shoot fireballs all over the place. Now, it's almost not even worth mentioning these 8 balls, because during the whole game, there's only like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, it's almost ridiculous. I mean, it should be at least 1 per level or something. I don't know. And that's all I pretty much have to say about Eightman. It's a kind of game where you'll run through it once and then put it on your shelf and want to play other things for quite some time before you want to revisit it again, or maybe show it off to somebody else. And one of the reasons I wanted to pick it up is because it didn't seem like that common of a Neo Geo game. It's also not one of the cheaper titles that tend to go for $20 to $40, but then again, it's not one of the more expensive titles like Metal Slug that would go for hundreds of dollars. This game you could probably find for between $60 and $80. And I'm strictly talking about the AES version. I have no idea what the MVS version of this game would go for. And I'm also talking about the US version. Overall, I'm going to have to give this game like a 68 out of 100. The gameplay is so average, but there's really nothing wrong with it at all. But the graphics and the music do bump it up a bit more, because I really did find myself really enjoying the music in the game after a while. And the graphics are very bright and colorful, and even though a lot of the enemies are the same, the basic levels in the background design are pretty much very different from level to level, so that does change a bit. Well, that pretty much wraps things up. If you want to see just flat out gameplay footage of this, I should have a quick clips video of this game that I uploaded previously. So if you're interested in that, please check that out. Otherwise, see you next time. Bye.